Hey Nautilus, how are you doing? Thank you for the hydrate. Hey Banana, how are you doing? Didn't sleep for once this week, or didn't sleep in for once this week. I read that as didn't sleep for once this week, and I was like, Nautilus, no, don't do that. Been tired though. Where did our desk go? Just finished at the gym? Nice. Phew, we made it back in one piece. Just, to be perfectly honest, I thought we were finished there for a while. Oh wait, this is before it's been set up. Okay.
Oh, I know. What a lot of close shaves.
That's a weird sentence.
There's so many carriages in the streets of London. You were very nearly flattened several times.
Oh no, I didn't mean that.
Yes, I know. It was a marvelous defense, Naruhodo-san. It really was. I was in awe of you.
Oh, thank you. The One Piece is real.
And now that your fervent exploits have won us some more precious investigation time, let's see if we can find some new clues for court tomorrow.
Yes, let's do that. Yeah, this is Susato's theme.
Is everything all right?
I suppose I still can't quite believe it. That's all. That I'm here in England, working as a lawyer, I mean. The Old Bailey know us. Hey, Squiggles. How are you doing? Truth is, it shouldn't be me, should it? It should be him standing in my shoes. It should be Kazuma.
It was Kazuma-sama's wish that you follow him to Great Britain and work alongside him.
Yes, I mean, I never had the chance to ask him exactly why, but clearly had a plan. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him.
And you're doing wonderfully, Naruhodo-san. I've no doubt that Kazuma-sama would say exactly the same if he were here with us.
Currently at your PC, so no falling asleep yet. Thank you, Susato-san. Thank you. It's quite a shock earlier today, wasn't it? The victim himself turned up in court and took the stand.
I know.
Not only that, but then finding out he's actually a barefaced gas thief as well. You did a bit of throwing yourself at a brick wall in Monster Hunter and a bit of MSQ in FF14. Today is the first day in, like, I don't know, like 2 weeks that I haven't played FF14 because I've been busy with other stuff. I need to do, if I'm not mistaken, all that I have left to do for the first book on the thing. You know what I'm talking about, the relic weapon. All that I need to do for the first one is go through the 3 dungeons, I think. And that's where I'm at.
Yes, that was certainly a surprise to us all. For a while, it seemed as though everyone had quite forgotten about Soseki-san poisoning the tea.
Careful of your phrasing, Susato-san. He didn't poison anything. Oh, Most of the week right now for you is just go to class, come home, sleep, wake up, eat, sleep again, and loop. Those loops always just feel bad. There's more to this Mr. Shamspear than we yet know, I'm sure of it.
Mr. Shamspear certainly wasn't the noble, upstanding man everyone thought he was at first.
What's become of him, actually?
I was told that he'd be returning to the hospital ward where he was receiving treatment.
Oh, which one is that?
Let me see. Ah, yes. He's at St. Bartholomew's. Or Bart's, as Londoners call it.
No, Shamspear is not dead. He was poisoned, but it didn't actually kill him. Or, well, they think he was poisoned. We know a place, don't we?
Yes, we visited Miss Green there yesterday. It's the same hospital to which she was taken.
Yes, after Soseki-san stabbed her in the back.
Do be careful of your phrasing, Naruhodo-san. He didn't stab anyone.
Perhaps we both owe Soseki-san an apology. St. Bartholomew's. Yes, we should probably visit the hospital later. And what are we investigating? They still think that Soseki did the poisoning. And we haven't proven that he didn't yet, because they're running tests on the T coin that we found. So, we know that Soseki-san took tea to the victim on the night in question. But as he isn't the culprit, then obviously...
Yes, the poison surely wasn't in the tea.
But if that's the case, how on earth did the poison get into Mr. Shamspear's body?
I'm sure we'll find a clue at the scene. There must be something in Mr. Shamspear's room that'll help solve the mystery.
Well, naturally, Scotland Yard detectives have been over the place already. Couldn't hurt for us to have another look around, I think.
Definitely. And I'm desperate to know the outcome of the investigation into the tea left in the bar of soap.
Well, if we run into Inspector Gregson, we could ask him about that. Kazuma Asogi. Best friend I ever had. And a lawyer with such promise. He really saved my bacon in that horrible incident just before we left Japan. Can still picture him now, looking so fierce and determined in court. And after the trial, that crazy idea he came up with. As a stowaway? Yes, you can fit inside my trunk if you curl up small enough. I'm sure, no one will know. Kazuma, won't you tell me why? Why go to these lengths so that I can accompany you to Great Britain? Well, it's been on my mind ever since we got through that trial. You really ought to go into law, be a defense lawyer. Got a natural talent for it. Believe me, I guarantee it. But I've never even thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, I can't force you, obviously. You'll have to decide for yourself. But anyway, London is the cultural capital of the world. A city at the forefront of everything. Can't hurt for you to see it with your own eyes. No, that's true. I suppose, though, if you were to become a lawyer, then one day... One day what? No, no. Never mind. I think I'm gay, Naruhodo.
Naruhodo-san?
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking about Kazuma.
Yes. He's forever in my thoughts, too. Did change the Japanese judicial system for the better. That was his dream. And that's why he so desperately wanted to come to Great Britain to study, of course.
Yes, that's right, but...
Yes?
I do wonder if his true intentions lay elsewhere sometimes. I don't know. The thought just takes hold of me every now and then, that's all. Sorry, give me a sec. Sorry about that. Hey Zoro, how are you doing? Just like Iris and Edgeworth. To be fair, I feel like this might just be me, but I personally don't think that, I'm doing alright. I personally don't think that Naruhodo and Susato, like, I don't think that they're necessarily, like, a bad ship, but they feel a lot more, like, they feel a lot better as just very close friends, if that makes sense. In my brain.
Naruhodo-san, what did you mean by Kazuma-sama's true intentions?
I mean this.
His katana.
I never expected to inherit this sword after Kazuma passed away, of course.
No, I know. It was because I asked you to take it.
When I have it at my side in court, I feel as though it gives me courage.
Yes.
Actually, the night before he died, he told me a little about the sword. Karma? That's right. It's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asogi clan. Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. Kazuma reveals that it was bought for $20 at an anime convention. Karma is the name of the thing. Oh wow, reference. Yeah, I'm enjoying the game. This is one of the few Ace Attorney games that I am 100% blind on. Like, I have done my damnedest to not get spoiled on this game. And I am enjoying it a lot. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two. Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain. Something you have to do? Yes. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. Hey Pine, how are you doing?
What did he mean by something very important that I have to do?
I'd hoped the answer to that question would become apparent when we arrived here, but... as yet, I've not found a single clue.
I see.
Just made fried rice. Nice. Hey, Susato, did you know that I'm a lawyer?
You've been wearing that ever since we arrived in Great Britain, haven't you?
Well, it's what shows that I'm a lawyer, so it seems appropriate.
I'm not sure what it really means, that it really means much in this country, though, I'm afraid.
I wouldn't say that. It might not be official, but it looks official. Often when the police stop me, I just show them this and they leave me alone.
You're stopped by the police? Often?
Well, you know, I'm a suspicious foreigner dressed in all black with a sword on my side.
I do think it's probably the sword that's the main reason. And still, it makes me happy to see you wearing it. And the armband.
Yes, I made up my mind that I'll carry them always. This symbol of who I am, and the sword Karma. Nope, not that. Am I gonna have to shred my voice trying to do Iris's voice? Yep.
Oh, Runo and Susie. Hooray, you're back. Hello, Iris. You're in fine spirits as always, I see. I am. And you look as immaculately presented as ever, Susie. Oh, you flatter me.
Thank you for the hydrate. Iris's voice, like, the higher up I get with my voice, the, like, harder it is for me to maintain consistently. It's like, the further out from the middle of my range, it gets harder and harder to maintain the control on it and, like, actually enunciate words with it.
Oh, you flatter me. Well, you couldn't have come at a better time. I just made a pot of tea. I'll set some cups.
Really? Thanks, Iris. But actually, what is that foul smell? Aha! The Wanderers return at last. Where on earth have the pair of you been? Is this an artifact of Command Run? Gosh. We need to play some more Risk of Rain. One of these days, Pine. Where on earth have the pair of you been? You've been in court? Oh, for Mr. Mustache's case? That was today, was it? Goodness me, that man doesn't have his jacket on.
I'm sure I mentioned it only yesterday, Mr. Sholmes.
I'm sure you think you did. Well, we can laugh about it now. So tell me, how did the trial go? Reasonably well so far. We've managed to escape without a guilty verdict, at least. Really? I would have liked to see it. And I must pass the time of day with Mr. Reaper again. It's been too long. Is Lord Van Zeek's an acquaintance, Mr. Sholmes? Naturally. There's not a person in the world who doesn't know my name, Mr. Naruhodo. Not quite what I asked, but still.
Mr. Sholmes, whatever is that odor?
Yes, what is it? It's faint, but absolutely awful. Ah, indeed. That's the scent of victory, my dear fellows. Victory in science.
Oh dear.
Alright, I'll bite. What's he up to now? Lord Barrick Van Zeeks. Yes, it's an interesting... Sobriquet? I don't know. He has, isn't it? The Reaper of the Bailey. Or wait, whoops, that was Sholmes' line.
Once the legendary prosecutor has fought for someone's conviction, that person is doomed. Even if he or she is found not guilty by the courts, sooner or later they meet the Glock. The hapless soul will vanish from the capital. But vanish how exactly? By falling under a passing carriage, or drowning in the Thames. Or succumbing to a sudden fever, or quite out of the blue being set upon by a highwayman. I pronounced, what was the word again? Sobriquet? Or succumbing to a sudden fever, or quite out of the blue being set upon by a highwayman. Mr. Sholmes, you already said that before. There are numerous routes to one's final terminus, my dear fellow. All seems a little far-fetched, really. Well, on the bright side, Mr. Mustache is fighting fit. For the time, at least. That's not overly reassuring. If the rumors are true, though, the obvious conclusion would surely be that those acquitted are, well, by Lord Van Zeek's own hand. As it happens, Miss Susato, that is quite impossible. Also, isn't that last line doesn't that have a typo in it? Shouldn't it be Lord Van Zeek's with just the, apostrophe without the second S? Am I being stupid? Is it not like that on names? Because I could have sworn that it was like that on names. As it happens, Miss Susato, that's quite impossible. Oh? Why? It should be one, it's a typo. Naturally, the man very quickly came under such suspicion. However, whenever these incidents occurred, the Reaper had always had a cast-iron alibi. Really? And so his reign continued. But 5 years ago, he vanished from the courts, never to appear as a prosecutor again. That's like that when the last word ends in an S, where it's just S apostrophe rather than S apostrophe S. That is, until you arrived in the country, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, so I've heard. In fact, it was the very day I arrived when I was thrust into that trial at the Old Bailey. That bitter fight to the death coincided with the Reaper's resurrection. It really did end bitterly indeed. And here you are, facing Mr. Reaper again. Poor Bruno. I don't know if you're just incredibly unlucky. Or incredibly unlikable. I think it goes deeper than just me. I sense a general loathing of all Japanese people. With Mr. Natsume, who I'm currently defending, being Japanese as well, as well as Miss Susato and myself, felt it even more keenly in court today. For some reason, Lord Van Zeek seems to have an inherent disdain of the Japanese. Indeed. It is an interesting observation. Do you know something about it? Do you, Mr. Sholmes? It was about 10 years ago that Barak von Zeeks chose to enter the legal profession. However, before that time, the young man's closest companion, Hailed from the Empire of Japan.
No!
What the? Tell us more, Mr. Sholmes. What happened? I believe I've made it clear before. I'm unable to tell you anything about that, about the affair.
Oh, but...
The veil will be lifted on the events of the past in due course, I have no doubt. For now, however, it is Mr. Mustache who is most deserving of your attention, I believe. Sorry I keep having to pause. I wonder if I'm starting to get, like, sick or something. So, what is that indescribably foul smell? Well, most probably this, I would say. What is that? My dear fellow, it is of course my latest invention. Ever since that bit from the last Great Ace Attorney game where I read half an hour's worth of dialogue without the, without my mic on, I'm always paranoid after I unmute, and so I have to, like, triple check. A chemical test that can identify whether or not a tea is genuine at the drop of some tea.
Oh my.
There's some unscrupulous sorts manning the stalls along some of London's less frequented streets. They regularly sell what purports to be high-quality tea, but is in fact merely dyed leaves of drab flavor. Well, that's certainly unsavory behavior. So, when one is presented with what appears to be black tea, one must be careful. Iris?
At the ready, Hurley.
There's too many types of tea for that to work. Honestly, knowing how Sholmes' science works and 3/4 of the other... Actually, no. Sholmes' science is pretty solid, actually.
Let us add a drop of my chemical to this cup of tea here. Do you see what happens? It's turned completely black.
And what a foul odor it's giving off.
He has employed Mrs. Pipebomb to help him, yep.
Indeed. The blacker the tea becomes, and the more foul the odor, the better the tea is. It would appear that this cup was particularly fine. Darjeeling? Darjeeling. That's very ingenious. What do you do with that black liquid now? I give it to Iris, and, well, I'm sure you can guess what she does with that. It's the secret ingredient to make her pipe bombs have extra kick. Why dispose of it naturally? Surely you wouldn't like to drink it, would you?
There does seem to be a rather obvious problem with your new invention, Mr. Sholmes.
Hence why this chemical test is merely a test, my dear madam. Right. The point is that we are entering a new era of science. In the world of criminal investigation, also. Wow, that was weird. My brain read that sentence weird.
Yes, forensic, apparently. Yes, forensic science. Oh, these are such exciting times.
I regularly engage in the scientific experimentation. alongside my unofficial business consulting detective work. The Herlock-Sholmes method will be the foundation upon which modern investigative technique is based. This little T indicant was a happy byproduct of my ongoing forensic science research. Forensic science? Suppose I should find out more about that. So, your T-test is an example of forensic science? Indeed it is. An essential tool in cases that hinge on knowledge of whether some tea is is of high or inferior quality. Not a huge number of cases, then. Perhaps a more practical example is required. Fingerprints. Not yet accepted in our courts as evidence, I might add. Really, we're dragging our heels here. Hadn't even heard of them until recently. Which is partially why I undertake research in this field myself, of course.
Does that mean you're studying fingerprints, Mr. Sholmes?
There are others in that field already, and I abhor the company of inferior minds. No, what I'm researching is skin prints. Skin prints? A nomenclature of my own design, as is this chemical agent that makes it possible. It instantly reveals objects touched by whichever person is under investigation.
Brilliant, Mr. Sholmes.
As long as it doesn't turn everything completely odorous and black. I assure you, my dear fellows, you will witness my forensic talents in action very soon indeed. Yeah, and they're not admissible in court, as we found out, and it pissed me off in the last case of the first game. Well, I think we should go back to the scene and see if we can uncover any new clues.
That's the spirit, Runo. And see you later.
Yes, until later. No, Mr. Sholmes, we were thinking you'd come with us. You were? Yes, of course. You just said so a moment ago. You said we'd witness your forensic talents in action. Yes, I do recall saying something along those lines. But you go on ahead. I shall be sure to follow you later. In all likelihood. Probably. Maybe. Well, I might. Commitment astounds me.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes. We'll eagerly await your arrival. Bye-bye, Runo. Bye, Susie.
Rat.
What do you suppose is happening? It sounds like some sort of disturbance.
Yes, I hear angry voices. Be not angry, O ample lady. Verily thou art mistaken.
Mistaken my foot. You were looking at my painting.
The eye of a man hath not heard. The ear of a man hath not seen. 'Twas foul indeed, the poison that mustached villain gaveth me. Forgive me, lady.
I wish that you died from that poison.
God a mercy, ample lady. But thou seest I have vigor still. Behold my Shakespeare dance.
This looks rather ominous, doesn't it?
Ah, lo, 'tis the lawyer from the land whence riseth the sun. How now? What are you doing here, Mr. Shakespeare? Mary, I do believe I'm returned to another ward.
He was looking, that's what he was doing. Looking at my terrible work.
Eastern fellow, so darkly clad. Or dark... Yicklid. Faith in thy work in court this morning was wonderful. Or faith. Thy work in court this morning was wonderful. I do applaud thee.
Oh, well, thank you.
But that doesn't mean things will go so wonderfully for you tomorrow, does it?
That man is strong if he's able to do that.
Anon.
Exunt? Mr. Shamspear might technically be the victim in this case. But there's definitely a lot more to it than that. But it's very hard to pin the man down.
I'm so sorry. He's such an awful person.
Miss Green, is everything alright?
Oh, yes. I mean, don't worry about me. They're about to discharge me, so I must get ready to leave now.
Oh, I see.
We're delighted that you'll soon be well enough to go home, Miss Green. Oh dear, you're too kind. I don't deserve it.
Rat.
A mouse, Mr. Naruhodo. An enormous mouse.
Herman in a hospital? That doesn't seem the best.
But it looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump.
I'm not sure we can say that's down to the excellence of this facility, if that's what you were thinking. So, are you feeling more like yourself today, Miss Green?
I am. Thank you. I mean, people do recover from ordeals like this, don't they? Even people like me.
Well, yes, it really was an ordeal, wasn't it?
As far as I was concerned, I was just walking along in the snow one evening, minding my own business. And then completely out of the blue, I was struck in the back by a knife and collapsed unconscious for days. Of course, when I finally woke up again yesterday, the whole business had been cleared up already. What a terrible week it's been for you. Oh no, I'm sure I'm very lucky, really. I'll look back on this fondly.
Really?
Anyway, I must be getting my things together now so I'm ready to be discharged.
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry to take up your time when you're obviously busy. Gregson, are you here? Yep. Oh, hello again, Inspector Gregson. What are you doing here? That's not your voice. Oh, well, we were hoping to have another look around, actually.
The lawyer representing the defendant has a right to examine the scene, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah, I know the score. Oh, yes, one other thing. The soap on the ledge outside the window. Did you find it? With the tea in it? Yeah, we found it all right. There's a small amount of tea in it, as you said. Knew it. It's with the identification section at the yard now. We're looking into it. Results should be available later today.
That's wonderful news. Thank you.
Pretty impressive performance in court this morning. Sorry? Nothing. Forget it. Make sure you don't disturb anything in here. I love Sholmes just teleporting into the room.
And so it turns out that Mr. Shamspear wasn't eating the soap at all.
That's right. The mystery of why he had it on a plate whilst holding a fork in his hand is solved.
Yes, to prise his latest ice coin out of its mold.
Mold spelled with a U. Huh.
And in the process, he accidentally broke the bar of soap in two.
Certainly was hard to imagine, let alone deduce. Ah, the ill-fated teacups from which the two men drank on the ill-fated night.
During their heated literary debate, yes.
Who's stronger, Romeo or Juliet? Sounds like it was quite a discussion.
Now I think of it, I'm sure that the two lovers in the play ended their lives with poison.
That's fiction, Miss Susato. Let's hope it stays that way. You ran out of change, you wouldn't even have any light, let alone heat. Oh, whoops. For the needy, London's winters can be very harsh.
That's true, but if you think about it, even the wealthy would find themselves freezing if they ran out of small change.
London's winters can be very harsh for the forgetful too, then. Frankly, I'm starting to wonder if Susato-san and I are going to make it spring.
That's true. We don't even have a meter at Baker Street, let alone a gas stove.
Yeah, you've got a wood fire stove. Look how dark the stain on the floor is underneath the meter there.
Yes, from all the water dripping out after the ice coins melted, as you established in court this morning.
It's a very large and obnoxious stain, isn't it?
Mr. Shamspeare must have used an awful lot of ice coins, I suppose.
It was an ingenious idea, I'll give him that.
Are you looking for new clues, Inspector?
Lord Van Zeek's orders, yeah. Don't come back till you've got something for me, he says.
Oh dear, poor you.
Yeah, poor me. Because we've already searched every bleeding nook and cranny in this place. Don't know what he expects, to be honest. Thank goodness for warm chips is all I can say. Well, at least he's honest. Oh, whoops. Sun never shines in this room thanks to that depressing bricked-up window.
Yet, with enough determination, you can always remove the bricks to set some soap outside, can't you?
Sounds like a very wise life lesson, Miss Susato.
Only if you plan to follow a life of crime, Mr. Naruhodo.
Mr. Sholmes, what are you up to over there? What a question indeed. Was it not your good self who asked me to attend the scene? Boy, what are you doing here, Sholmes? What are you up to over there? What are you doing here? Dear me, once a great detective, one is always under scrutiny, it seems.
Is now the time, Mr. Sholmes? Are you about to show us your forensic talents in action as you promised?
With the greatest of pleasure, my dear madame. What's all this? All this is precisely what you requested, Mr. Naruhodo. Herlock Sholmes' sensational skin print seeker gun. Moments ago, I took a sample from the teacup that was used by the victim. A sample? From Mr. Shamspeare's cup. Each individual leaves microscopic secretions on everything he or she touches. A sample of those secretions is all I need to produce this, a refined indicator solution. By liberally spraying the room with this chemical, everything the victim touched is instantly revealed with the aid of these goggles. Here, try them on. There. Now spray the chemical indicator about, and all will be revealed. Spray? How do I do that exactly?
A little press of A on the area you're interested in is all that's required, like this. Ow. What is that stuff? It's like fog. A suspension of chemical indicator and a pressured gas. It's the most efficient way to cover a large area. That was another invention I discovered incidentally whilst I was developing this idea. As you do. Go ahead, try it, my dear fellow. We may learn something interesting about the victim's movements on the night in question. Well, there's nothing to lose, I suppose. Let's explore. Look, there are dozens of handprints here. These handprints definitely aren't in a compromising position. So there are, a great many indeed. So much so that it's hard to make out any one individual print, in fact.
It sends a chill down my spine.
Perhaps he was leaning against the wall while he admired this picture. Unlikely. I would say it's a rather dull scene, after all.
And without wishing to state the obvious, you wouldn't generally admire a picture from such close quarters, I'd feel.
Oh, very true, Miss Susato. It's a bit of a mystery, then. We gonna find a secret painting safe? Why is it not letting me, like, rapid fire spray? What else am I supposed to be finding here? How did he manage to get fingerprints up on the gas light? I guess he has to light it, but still. What am I, like... Clearly there's something that I'm supposed to be spraying that I'm missing. Oh, there we go. Oh, look at all this here. Ah, yes, interesting. A multitude of the victim's handprints.
Why are there so many of them on the floor in this one spot?
Oh, perhaps he had a bad fall just here?
There's nothing obvious that he would have tripped over, though, is there?
I wonder. Personally, I'd often stumble when there's nothing obvious to trip over. Same. I get it from my dad. My dad could trip over a line on the floor.
I think that's something only a great detective would do, Mr. Sholmes.
Well, this is quite a puzzle. Handprints all over the floor. Yes, there's no obvious explanation. So he's probably got something A, hidden behind the painting, and B, under the floorboards! Every time I think of something being underneath the floor, I always think of the SpongeBob clip that's just like, they're here, under the floorboards! Well, we sprayed Mr. Sholmes' amazing skin print indicator all over this room, didn't we?
We did, but there are two places in particular that are of interest, I would say.
Handprints on the floor here. And on the wall by the picture, you mean?
Yes, and I think the floor warrants closer investigation. I won't be a moment.
What is it, Miss Susato?
Look here, Mr. Naruhodo. One of the floorboards has popped out.
You mean... it's a secret hiding place? Excellent work, Miss Susato. So, what do we have in here? Boy, what are you lot doing? Inspector Gregson, stand aside right this minute. My job to investigate there. No need, Inspector. You continue to dig into your portion of chips, whilst we dig around under the floor here. Fancy talk's putting me off my food anyway, Sholmes. New bit of evidence is exactly what I need. Wow, a secret hiding place under the floor. What a find.
It's not a hiding place you could make use of in Japan. I don't think I could lift a straw tatami mat.
And those things are heavy. Oh, I know. I never expected one of these wooden floorboards to move either. It's got me wondering about the wall over there, too. Are you curious?
Oh. I'll investigate it once.
Maybe you should have waited until Gregson left.
There's nothing behind the picture, sadly. Only the wall.
How disappointing. But then, how do you explain the handprints?
I really can't think why anyone would have been touching the wall over and over in one place like that.
There you are. A print for you. That's not a corn dog, that's fish from Fish and Chips. It's a piece of breaded fish. Though, the thought of Gregson having a corn dog in Victorian England is very funny. Oh, thank you very much. His invention can make prints too. You should know this. You got one on the boat in the first game. Now then, I wonder if Inspector Gregson has found anything under the floor here. I'm desperate to know. Sounds like an alternate meat corn dog when you put it that way.
So am I.
Love to know if there's anything hidden underneath that floorboard there. Allow me to ask Gregson now. After all, we're well acquainted. Inspector Gregson, really, it's been too long. What is it, Sholmes? I thought perhaps you might show me what you found there, seeing as we're such good friends. We're not friends. No, I suppose not. A dismal failure. Yes, I heard. Ugh, I'd kill to know what was under that floorboard. Alright then, fair's fair. What? Did discover the hiding place after all. Suppose I should at least fill you in. Really, Inspector? Thank you. Do it quickly, my dear fellow. If there's one thing I know about this man, it's that he blows with the wind, as fickle as the weather. If there's one thing I know about Gregson, it's how much he blows. Boy, stop making me out to be some kind of nut. 3 items under the floor there. Newspaper clipping, photographic print, and a tin box. Now, what do you want to know? It's like this was cut out of the paper about 3 months ago. It's about a convict who got sick and died while he was serving time up in Manchester. How terrible. Welcome back, Squiggles. Made the headlines down here in London as well. Bloke had been sentenced to death, you see. Nature got him first.
Oh my goodness. He committed a capital offense?
To be fair, murder is a capital offense in this world.
And by the name of Selden, has to peek a work into burglaries and murder.
Busy trying and failing to figure out what was up with your laptop. Oof.
Say the hoard he'd knocked off was worth about 1,000 pounds.
A hoard?
Treasure, you mean? Jewelry and the like. And he'd hidden it somewhere, and no one knows where. And now he's dead.
Oh my god.
I hid all my treasure in one place.
How does the opening monologue of the first bit of One Piece go? Keyboard will ignore inputs for a second or two if left alone for more than 10 seconds. Oof.
Was loved, of course. 1,000 pounds lost en route to hell, or some shuts was the headline.
Does it not strike you, though? Why such an article will be so carefully ensconced under the floor?
I suppose now you mention it, it does seem a bit odd. Perhaps I'll go over the paperwork we got on Selden back in the yard, see if I can turn anything up.
I want to look at that newspaper clipping. Manchester's Strangeways Prison announced the death of convicted murder and burglar Selden by natural causes. Early hours this morning, he'd been suffering with a fever since the end of October. Alerted by the shouts of his fellow cellmate, medical staff arrived to find him already dead, before his capital punishment could be carried out. I'm gonna try uninstalling the latest Windows update and see if that does anything.
So, photograph I found looks reasonably recent to me.
You're slipping into judge voice. I don't know. Where is Gregson's voice? Yes, it would appear to have been taken on the street in front of the house here.
And the gentleman on the left is Mr. Garrett, the landlord, of course.
Who's the young man on the right? Mr. Garrett's son, perhaps?
Perhaps. Take that print if you like.
Really? Are you sure? We can presume, therefore, that the yard already knows. The identity of the young fellow, that is. Ah, is that true?
Ugh. It's too bad if we do. Fortunately for you lot, leaking information is one of my pastimes.
My dear Inspector, if I may be so bold as to point something out. Pastimes are for one's leisure, but this is for work.
All the more reason I'm not telling you.
A dismal failure.
Yes, I heard.
I wonder why a photograph like this was hidden under the floor. I mean, Mr. Shamspeare himself isn't in it. Photographic prints are still rare treasures in the East End. I imagine Mr. Garrett was rather delighted to have been immortalized. He probably made proud to present it.
This tin box looks interesting, doesn't it?
Might I suggest, Inspector, that you open it? If you were to find something inside that reveals the truth behind this case, I wouldn't be in the least surprised.
Yeah, funnily enough, I've already had a look. It's completely empty.
What? Shamspeare, give us a clue, man!
You didn't even have the chance to utter a word, Mr. Naruhodo. Anyway, at least we found out what's inside the box.
You gotta pull the string in the box. Why does my brain keep going back to SpongeBob tonight? Yes, thin air. It's empty. Rather like how I feel inside. Is there nothing more to this box then? I wonder.
Oh, look! It's that lovely little kitty cat. What was its name?
It's Mr. Natsume's, isn't it? I don't think we ever asked him, actually. Why don't we call it, Wagahai? No, like, Mr. Natsume refers to himself in Japanese. Wonder how he got it here. Or how he got in here. Clever cat.
Oh, wonderful. Well then, Wagahai, here's something delicious I brought for you from the cat's meat man. He couldn't be happier now. Look.
Just hope we can bring some happiness to his owner, too. That was a cheeky little meow, Wagahai.
Oh, but he's so adorable. I could sit and watch him forever.
I think he may not appreciate that after a while. And we have an investigation to get back to. Gregson, can I please look at the box?
Oh, Mr. Natsume is back.
So he is. Mr. Natsume, hello?
I am a cat.
Sorry?
I don't know who Mr. Natsume is, or Herlock Sholmes. I don't know about courts or trials or Old Baileys. I am a cat. That is what I am. Just a cat.
Mr. Naruhodo, he's trying to escape from reality.
Trying to? He already has, completely. So, what is your name then?
As yet, I have no name.
Mr. Naruhodo, he hasn't fully thought out his new identity yet. Maybe it's not too late to bring him back to reality.
Furry detected. Think you could open your eyes for us, Mr. Natsume? Mr. Natsume is secretly a cat boy.
I am not a cat.
It worked. He's back in the real world.
What's going to become of me? No! Don't answer that. It's obvious. My accursed soul is never going to escape this accursed fate.
Mr. Natsume, no. This morning's proceedings in court prove that there's hope.
Yes, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire was brilliant, but the Reaper is omnipresent, in court, in my lodgings, here, there, everywhere. What's he looking straight at me for? I think perhaps there are some things we should discuss.
Oh, yes. Yes, we must.
In my whole life, have I ever been so moved as I was today? No. Of course, if I cast my mind back, there were perhaps one or two other occasions that moved me more. But if I just block those out, then today, being in that courtroom was...
Wait a minute. Anthropomorphic activity. Doesn't the word anthropomorphic literally mean human-like? Isn't that literally what that word means?
It was the most moving experience of my life. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
You're too kind.
Scotland Yard found the remaining tea, just as we deduced. They're analyzing it as we speak.
There's nothing wrong with that tea. They won't find a drop of poison in it. That's a solemn sworn Soseki certainty.
Tell me, did you both drink the tea at the same time that night?
Oh yes, most definitely. Remember, drink tea while it's hot. We both poured it down our throats like it was a hot bath for our bellies.
And at the time, you were both completely fine.
As shown by the fact that he and Mr. Shamspear then engaged in the Romeo and Juliet match. Suppose the focus of tomorrow's proceedings will be how the poison was taken by the victim, then.
That rotten Shamspear! What have I ever done to him?
You don't recall him taking issue with you over anything you've done recently?
I've been holed up in my room, immersed in books. I don't recall anything at all!
Right.
But what I don't understand is why he didn't let me know sooner.
Let you know what, Mr. Natsume?
About the soap, of course. What else?
Oh dear. Are you struggling with such a meager stipend?
Of course I am. If I had money, I wouldn't have chosen to live an accursed existence in such accursed lodgings.
Oh yes. You said it's because the place is cursed that it's so cheap, didn't you?
Exactly. Especially the room that I rent. The spirit of that capital offender who lived there still haunts the place, and it's trying to kill me.
Capital offender?
Might I ask, Mr. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, that the next time you visit me, you bring scores of super soft soaps.
I'm genuinely curious as to what, like, the written definition of anthropomorphic. Why does that word not anthropomorphic? There we go. What is the actual, like, definition of that word? Because, like, I always took it to mean human-like. Or, like, exhibiting human-like behavior.
What's this?
It's a newspaper cutting that we found in Mr. Shamspear's room.
So he knew, did he?
Sorry?
About this man, Selden.
Having form of a human. So anthropomorphic activity literally just means human activity. Or activity having the form of a human. So they're banning school in Oklahoma.
A convicted killer, and the evil spirit behind the curse that afflicts my lodgings.
What?
He's already taken one young man's life, and now he's trying to take the life of another, a miserable mustached, much maligned Japanese man.
Mr. Natsume, if you know something, please, you must tell us. Tell us everything you can about this evil spirit.
The truth is, I didn't know the details myself until very recently. That Selden man was arrested about a year ago now.
Human appearance activities. Some people are dumb.
That Selden man was arrested about a year ago now. And at the time, he was hiding out in lodgings at Mr. Garadeb's house.
What? You lived where you do now?
That's right, yes. Exactly where I live now. In my very room.
What did you come back to?
Oh my, your room was previously occupied by a criminal found guilty of a capital offense?
Also, I get your I get your joke about the One Piece now, Nautilus.
But before his sentence could be carried out, he died in prison. That was 3 months ago now. And that's when it started. The curse.
What really is this curse you keep mentioning, Mr. Natsume?
It's already caused one death, a few months after the criminal passed away in prison. A man died in the room. The man who rented it after Selden, in fact. The poor lodger, he was found dead in mysterious circumstances. The room was locked from the inside.
Locked from the inside? Exactly like the case we're dealing with now? Lol rar XD gets arrested by animal control. So that's the convict's curse, is it?
Yes. Well, that was the start of it.
I feel like if that school started calling animal control every time somebody was like acting like a furry, like, I feel like animal control would block their number.
Do you have any idea how the lodger before you passed away, Mr. Natsume?
The official cause of death was asphyxia. When they discovered the body, the room was full of gas.
Gas?
I only found that out after I'd signed the lease. When Mr. Garadeb came to tell me later, I couldn't stop myself trembling. In fact, if I'd known beforehand, I'd probably have been too scared to take the room.
That is a very cursed statement, Squiggles.
Landlord's lease, luckily legal.
Lucky for Mr. Garudeb, maybe. But not so lucky for poor Mr. Natsume. And now you believe this curse is affecting you.
It is. At first, I just felt as though I was being watched. All the time.
And you talked about having nightmares, didn't you?
The dead are trying to take me with them. They come for me and try to suffocate me.
So what I'm hearing is gas leak. He wasn't the, what's his name? Shamspear wasn't actually poisoned by Strike 9. He was just poisoned by a gas leak. Love is in the air? Wrong. Gas leak. He's got ghosts in his blood and he should do whiskey and coke about it. I've seen that meme before, Squiggles. I understand that.
Just when I'm struggling to breathe, I wake up. And then the room is as cold as ice.
But why is your room so cold?
London winters are too cold to bear without any heating on overnight. But for some reason, even though I light the stove before I climb into bed that night, the pilot light always goes out and the room fills with gas.
But that's terrible. It's exactly the same situation as what led to the previous occupant's death. And then there's what happened to Mr. Shamspear last night when he was mysteriously poisoned. There's clearly more to that incident than can be explained by a curse, though.
Whatever can be the cause of all these strange happenings in Mr. Garudeb's rooms?
Ah, you're here now, Mr. Garudeb. Right, bally business. Right, bally business is it for me, you know? Getting out and about. I don't remember what I did for his name. Or, not for his name, for his voice. Were you at the Old Bailey by any chance? Naturally, fate of my lodgings hang in the balance and all that. Well to miss. Fate of what's already been dubbed your haunted lodgings, yes. Who's drawing their dress on a cannon? It's a lady by the name of Joan Garudeb, but also, like, I feel like this is how I would, if I had a cannon to dry stuff on, I would totally use it as a drying rack. Fate of what's already been dubbed your haunted lodgings, yes. Of course, the place has caused quite a stir around the capital on more than one occasion already. Yeah, he owns a cannon for home defense. It's filled with grape shot. Old haunted lodgings or some such. Ah, well, at least he knows. Makes you wonder what in blazes is going on, don't you know?
Yes, I'm sure it does. When did you get here, Mr. Sholmes?
Teleports behind you. Nothing personnel, kid.
In fact, thinking back to Mr. Natsume's other trial just 2 days ago. You were at the Old Bailey then as well, weren't you? Testifying with your wife about what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Stopped off at the prison on the way home. In fact, beastly business. See. So, what brings you to my haunted abode today, eh? Fishy fellow from the Far East, and a failed actor chap of questionable character, eh? Yes, the house does seem to have become something of a magnet for rum fellows of late. It's that bally curse. Convict's curse, you mean? Ah, heard the stories, have you? Rotten scoundrel was arrested here, and the next chap in the room goes and keels over. There was that woman who dropped dead just outside on the street. Not to mention the actor yesterday. Am I next, eh? Well, I can't help but get the collywobbles, can you? Wow. Is that what? Is that the actual way that the word collywobble is supposed to be used? Yes, this guy is on the 3rd floor. Imagine how hard it was to get this cannon up here.
When you say the woman who dropped dead outside on the street, do you mean Miss Green?
Because Miss Green, who was stabbed by the knife, and Mr. Shamspear, who was poisoned last night, are both very much alive still. Well, so is that blasted convict's curse, it seems. Collywobbles is a stomachache? Really? That's really weird. Like, this is gonna sound really dumb, but, my mom is from England, and I always assumed that collywobble was, like, a nickname or something for, like, cauliflower, because that's always how my mom used it. She always used to call cauliflower collywobble. Actually, I say used to. She still does. Yes, well, so's that blasted convict's curse, it seems.
Personally, I should be quite content with such lodgings. A bath, a toilet, a fireplace, a fascinating history. Why, it sounds like the lap of luxury.
I'm not so sure about that. Well, there's no bath or toilet included, and no fireplace either. But you do look out for your tenants, don't you? By watching the rise and fall of the flames in your gas lamps up here. Yes, never hurts to keep an eye on things. In case there are any mishaps or such like.
I think you've had your mishap already, sir.
That's not helpful, Mr. Sholmes.
Heaven forgive me, the words just came to my lips.
It's believed to be derived from cholera? Really? Collywobble, the cauliflower, and Banjo-Kazooie. I've never played Banjo-Kazooie. Does it, like, hold up as a game? Fishy fellow from the Far East. Failed actor. Wait, I already read this. Wait, what? Why did this start in the same way? It did start in the same way. Some fishy fellow from the Far East and a failed actor chap of questionable character, eh? There's no need for that, Mr. Gyardeb.
That's right. Mr. Natsume is in no way fishy.
He is undeniably peculiar, however. Is it right that he took the vacancy immediately after the previous tenant passed away?
Yep, that's right. As the estate agent found someone and he popped up the very same day. Corpse is still in his room, actually. It's buried underneath the piles and piles of books. I came across a chap so keen for a place with a background, as it were.
I don't think it was the room's background he was keen on so much as the cheap rent, actually.
Got a re-release and rare replay and got into Smash, so maybe.
How long has Mr. Shamspear been lodging under your roof?
Old actor chap? Let me see. Oh, of course. Yes, it's been 3 months now. Quite sure of it.
Only 3 months. He's quite new here too, then. And to what do you owe your certainty in that regard, Mr. Gerdeb, if I might ask?
Well, it was that Selden scoundrel, as it happens.
Selden? The convict, you mean? Do Selden and Shamspear have some kind of connection, then?
The convict chap, Selden. Passed away in the clink 3 months ago now, you see. Some malady or other.
Yes, we've seen the report from the newspaper at the time.
Well, it was only 3 days later that the tragedian showed his face. The actor fellow.
Okay. This is gonna sound really weird, but despite the fact that I, like, know what the word tragedian means, the only time that I have heard it in any sort of context is in Pathologic, actually. Which is a game that I have not played, but I know that they're like some of the tutorial characters and the fourth wall breaky characters in that game. Really?
Yes, I remembered quite distinctly.
'Tis small, this world we inhabit. Prithee, landlord, hear my request. I, the humble Shamspear, do desire to take thy room on the middle floor offered erewhile for rent.
Terribly sorry and whatnot. That won't be possible. Already have a lodger on the middle floor. Ground floor room's vacant, though.
Nothing can be made out of nothing. Let me repeat mine will unto thee.
Those girls must be muffling your ears. The room on the middle floor is taken. It's ground floor or nothing.
Very well. We have an accord.
Glad to hear it. Welcome to Briar Road.
Lo, a Shamspear dance to celebrate.
So he's looking for the One Piece. What I heard in court today sounds like the chap was thieving gas. It's 3 months in arrears with rent, too. Yes, the fellow was a bally player, all right.
Thank you for your candor, Mr. Gerdeb. We are most grateful. By way of appreciation, allow me to say 1 or 2 words. Give me my robe, put on my crown. I have immortal lodgings in me.
What's happened to you?
Shakespeare, my dear fellow, one of his most famous lines. I wish to divulge my own learning of the subject, for I have a turn for literature too, you know.
Perhaps you could turn your attention to more apt lines, then.
To find a Sholmes VRM so you can play him in Lethal Company. Mr. Gyardeb, can I ask you to look at this photograph? Is that your son who's with you there? Oh no, not at all. There was a lodger here once. Duncan Ross was his name. Duncan Ross? The street photographer happened to be passing, so I asked him to take a shot. Just for the kicks, really. Sholmes's goggles remind you of the goggles that the Scions wear? Yeah, 100%, I see it.
Was he by any chance the lodger before Mr. Natsume?
Yes, that's right. Ah, the young gentleman who died in the room in mysterious circumstances. Just what Mr. Mustache was waiting for, one might say. Yes, young Duncan lived in the room at the top of the first flight of stairs before the Japanese chap. Would you mind telling us a little more about him? Yes, Duncan Ross. Young chap was attending art school. Had to work to pay for it, mind. Into the middle floor room about a year ago. After that, criminal Selden was arrested. Young students are always on the hunt for rooms with a history behind them. History of cheap rent, maybe, yes. Yes, well, anyway, it was one morning about a month ago now. Hadn't quite worked out the old trick of watching the gas lamps to see what my lodgers were up to at the time. Sadly, I was rather tardy to discover what had happened. The smell of gas that alerted me, it was. Ah, yes. Synonymous with the smell of death. Called the police straight away, of course. The officer kicked the door off its hinges. Once we got inside, we all belly collapsed. Because of the gas? Yes, room was full of it. No air at all. Stove must have gone out while the poor chap was sleeping in his bed. So Mr. Ross suffocated to death. Of course, the police gave me a sound tickling off because the gas pipes were so old and all that. I'll tell you how much it set me back to have the lot replaced all over the house. But even after you had all that work done, Mr. Natsume says the same thing. If the stove goes out at night while he's asleep in bed, that's the Bally curse. The convict's curse. Done my duty as a landlord now. Someone's feeling defensive. I need to play Lethal Company. It's actually the ghost of Dahlia Hawthorne's ancestor. God. Ah, that reminds me, actually. Yes? About a young Duncan, the night before the poor chap perished. He'd been writing a letter of affection to a young lady.
A love letter, you mean?
Yes, where did I put it now? Ah, here it is. Left it on my desk. If you'll excuse me, let me see now, what does it say? To my most beautiful and charming sweetheart.
Do you think that we should be reading such a personal piece of correspondence?
My dear Miss Susato, that is precisely why I prefaced my reading with, if you'll excuse me.
I will not excuse you, Mr. Sholmes. No.
Well, you didn't address it, though. But no means of delivering the thing. Rather sad, really. I see. That's going to play on my mind.
But really, the identity of Mr. Ross's sweetheart has no bearing on the case. I think we should leave well alone.
Yes, I suppose you're right. Indeed, the intended recipient's address is missing. However, there's a name attributed to the man's most beautiful and charming sweetheart. Is it Olive Green?
Mr. Sholmes, please. I've already had to chastise you about this once.
My undying love to you, my colorful darling, Olive Green. Olive Green? The woman who was plunged into a coma after a knife plunged into her back outside this house 5 days ago. That is one hell of a run-on sentence. The victim of the last case Soseki-san was in court for regained consciousness only yesterday. Is it just chance that her name has come up now? Could it possibly be a mere coincidence?
Mr. Naruhodo, whatever could this mean?
Reading personal correspondence can have its merits, you see, Miss Susato. Susato, don't you know, in London, it's not a federal crime to read other people's mail like it is in the States? I actually don't know if that's correct. Don't quote me on that. I actually genuinely don't know if that is a... She wasn't poisoned, she was stabbed. Being accused twice in a row, and then when he returns home only to be drug into one more case, yeah.
Mr. Naruhodo, I've just finished speaking with the doctor. It seems Miss Green is well enough to be discharged at last.
This is good news, but hopefully just before she leaves.
Ah!
What is it? Miss Green. What was that? He clearly just hid something behind her back.
One moment. I'll be with you in a jiffy. Oh, hello everyone. What are you all doing here? The doctor has said I can be discharged, so I'm just getting my things together. Miss Green, what were you just doing? Oh, nothing really. I was just about to take some medicine the doctor prescribed for me. That's all.
Oh, we were hoping to have another quick chat with you, if that's all right.
I don't really have anything else to tell you.
All right. She's definitely behaving strangely. Let's see if we can't coax something out of her. Miss Green, we were hoping to ask you about someone. Mr. Duncan Ross. You knew him, didn't you? Oh no. So sorry. Bottle of medicine fell down when she did.
Oh, Miss Green, are you all right?
So sorry. I didn't mean to startle you like that.
No, it's all right. I just wasn't expecting it. But how did you know about Duncan? Mr. Ross had been writing a letter when he passed away. The landlord found it in his room. It was a very personal letter. To you. It was at the art school. That's where I met Duncan. A year ago now. He was working to fund his studies. He dreamt of becoming a professional artist one day. And the two of you became romantically involved. Yes, that's right. We were so very much in love. We were engaged to be married, actually. That's why he decided to move into a cheaper room, to save money for the wedding.
That's what led him to Mr. Garrideb's.
Yes. He told me he'd found the worst, but cheapest room in the entire East End. And then, 1 month ago, that's when it happened. We're so terribly sorry, Miss Green. Well, it's all in the past now, I suppose. Poor Miss Green. She looks desperately sad.
I'm starting to think that's just her look. Now I see that she has every reason to feel the universe is against her.
This is the card that Miss Green was looking at so intently before, isn't it?
Mr. Naruhodo, we shouldn't be peeking at a young woman's private effects.
Right. I should save peeking for gentlemen's effects only.
You mustn't do that either.
Maybe you, Miss Susato, shouldn't be peeking into a young man's mind either. It's wonderful news that you're going to be discharged, Miss Green.
Oh yes, I mean, thank you. Once people are better, the hospital staff don't want them lingering and wasting space. Not people like me, anyway.
Reference to Macbeth. And Sherlock Holmes.
So I don't think I should keep anyone waiting. I probably shouldn't stand around and chat.
He certainly doesn't seem to be in the mood to talk, that's for sure.
I do hope you won't think I'm being rude, but... Would you mind leaving me in peace now? I have to leave the hospital soon.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We didn't mean to hold you up. Of course, we'll be on our way. Mr. Naruhodo. Surely you were not about to leave. That's quite out of the question. What, Mr. Sholmes, I didn't realize you were here. But of course I was, my dear fellow, watching intently from the shadows as always. Well, make your presence known next time.
Mr. Sholmes, what's this about?
Something which occurs to me with some regularity, Miss Susato, is this. Also, I just realized the dead rat next to the bottle she was drinking from. Why do detectives insist on such an ex post facto modus operandi? Wow, that is a mouthful. Why solve a case after it's happened, instead of preventing a case before it happens? That is what sets a great detective apart. What do you mean? There's a case waiting to happen under our very noses, Mr. Naruhodo. So let us avert disaster. Let us prevent this case from ever happening, with nothing but careful observation. Alright? All the clues you need are set before you. You need only look, and you cannot fail to see.
You can do it, Mr. Naruhodo. I know you can.
Rat. That mouse seems to be dead. Look, I didn't notice it there before, did you?
I think perhaps it drank the medicine that spilled out of the bottle. But that's the bottle that Miss Green was about to drink from when we arrived.
You don't think... Ah, I see you've come to appreciate the true nature of this scene. That of a tragedy about to take place. Yes, I think it's falling into place. Miss Green, the contents of the bottle you had before is spilt out on the floor. Poor mouse that drank it has sadly died. I think it's clear that the bottle must have contained a powerful poison.
Don't worry. I will attend to the mouse presently.
Miss Green, were you intending to go the same way as that rodent? To take your own life? Once we'd left, you would have put it to your lips again, wouldn't you? Taken the poison?
No! Miss Green, please. Please talk to us.
Definitely feels as though this card must be relevant. I mean, when we first arrived, Miss Green was standing with it in her hand, in what can only be described as a very tense atmosphere.
Yes. It may very well be related to whatever incident Mr. Sholmes believed was about to happen here. Perhaps we should ask Miss Green about it.
"10 seconds later, and we would have arrived at a very different scene here. In all probability, we would not have enjoyed this most delightful conversation. Of course, perhaps it hasn't been quite so delightful from your perspective, Miss Green."
Actually, in a way. Now that everything's out in the open, I feel like a weight has been lifted.
Tell me, how did you acquire that medicine?
Well, with this being a hospital and all, when the doctor comes to examine me in the mornings, he always leaves the medicine cabinet open for a while, so I snuck this out when he wasn't looking.
It conspicuously lacks a label. I wonder what it contains.
I'm afraid I don't really know. But I thought if I drank it, I might just stop the pain somehow. Oh, please, Miss Green. Don't talk of such things.
Well, it seems clear now that it contains poison.
Yes, that poor little mouse is proof of that. Oh no. Oh, it's all my fault. What have I done?
I shall remove this to my office, Miss Green. I take it you have no objection.
No, none. Neither the sender's name or address appear to be written on the envelope of the card. It arrived by post the day before the incident that put me in the hospital here. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Don't tell anyone else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance.
Wait a minute. 17th of this month? That's the day. It's the day you were stabbed on Briar Road.
And 5 p.m.
is precisely the time when the incident occurred. The Slug and Salad, yes. A pub on the northern corner of Briar Road. Briar Road, being the street that Mr. Garrideb's house is on.
Does this mean that... Yes, I'm sure you've guessed. That day when I was struck in the back by the knife, I was actually on my way to the Slug and Salad. Goodness.
So that's what you were doing on Briar Road that day.
I'm sorry I didn't say anything before. I think I really will have to ask you to excuse me now. I've told you everything.
Yes. I'm very sorry to have had to drag up such painful memories for you.
No, it's fine. Miss Green. Please, promise us you won't try to do anything like that again. Yes, don't worry. Your detective friend has the bottle now anyway. And besides, I've been stabbed in the back and had a close shave with a bottle of poison, and I'm still here. I think I'm destined to see things through to the end. It might sound a little conceited, but, well, that's how this has all made me feel.
Leaving Miss Green and St. Bartholomew's behind. Made our way back to Baker Street with Mr. Sholmes. Well, it would appear we've reached the end of the investigative trial for today. Yes, it's late. And, Mr. Naruhodo? Did you discover anything that might be of use to you in court tomorrow, do you think? Tales about Mr. Shamspear, Mr. Gerdeb's lodgings, convict Selden. There are many facets to this case, and we're yet to see it to the heart of it, if you ask me. That's my feeling, anyway.
I can't help wondering about the results of the analysis.
Into Mr. Natsume's tea, you mean?
Yes, will they have found strike 9 in it or not?
Well, I fear that either way, it will be hard to escape the grip of our friend, Mr. Reaper.
Oh dear.
Yes, Barrack Van Zeeks. But I wish you every success, of course, and though I was late to rise this morning, tomorrow will be a new dawn. I intend to spring from my bed at a crisp hour and attend the trial.
Mr. Sholmes, you're going to come?
Indeed. Whatever happens, I shall be there, assuming my eyelids cooperate in the morning. Well, I think we've done all we can. All that's left is to remain focused and keep fighting for Mr. Natsume's cause until the very end. London, the world's most prosperous city, home to some 6 million people. But away from the razzle-dazzle, down back alleys and behind bricked-up windows, lonely lurk. So Seki-san had battled long and hard with loneliness during his many months here. And so I felt honor-bound to battle equally hard for my compatriot, to lift the curse that gripped him. As Mr. Sholmes said, tomorrow would be a new dawn for all of us. Okay, give me just a moment. I will be back shortly. I need to go and refill my water bottle.
Hydration has been acquired.
This is it then, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, it's time to put an end to this now. To the miserable curse that's been plaguing Mr. Natsume. To everything.
And in my own small way, I shall do everything I can to help you.
I always appreciate your help, Miss Susato.
Suffering Soseki, selfishly sidelined.
Ah,
Good morning to you, Mr. Natsume? Or, good morning to you too, Mr. Natsume.
Good morning. Good morning, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Listen to you two, chatting away happily as if the main player of today's trial isn't here. Why would you do that? Why?
oh dear. We didn't mean to cause offense, Mr. Natsume. Though, I thought perhaps that because you had your eyelids shut so tightly, you were meditating, finding inner calm. It seemed wrong to disturb you.
I was waiting. What is the matter, Mr. Natsume? You seem different somehow today. Why, naturally, that's because I've attained spiritual enlightenment. The path of literature, you see, is a journey to discover one's own death. Or such like. That's the sort of morning conversation I was hoping for. That's why I had my eyes shut.
I missed the signs, I'm afraid. Somehow. You'll have to forgive me.
And you mustn't talk of your path leading you to death, Mr. Natsume.
That was just an example.
Oh yes, there it is. Inner calm.
You barely came to see me at all yesterday. I was sure you'd abandon me and return to our beautiful long-lost homeland.
We've not even been in Great Britain a week yet.
Yes, well, anyway. I intend to set everything straight in court today. I'm determined to uncover the truth.
I've actually reached an important decision myself.
No? What sort of decision?
I shall fill you in after the trial.
Right?
It would seem Mr. Sholmes isn't coming today after all. It's a very clever message, I think. My dear fellows, you must win this battle on your own merits.
It's a very clear message, I think. Eddie's overslept again.
Great detective, my arch nemesis. Long may he stay away, if you ask me.
Lef, you and your legal representative. Or Did I say bailiff? Trial's about to begin. Make your way into the courtroom immediately. Today, once again, we face the Reaper. And when the Reaper stands for the prosecution, defendant's fate is sealed. But I don't believe in that legend, any more than I believe in Soseki-san's curse. The truth is hidden here somewhere, and I won't let it escape me. I have to keep believing in my client, and keep fighting to the very end. That's all. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I call upon the counsels for prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. Yes, the defense is ready. good. Now I call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Chosen by lot to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to proceed? Absolutely. Justice will be done, you mark my words.
I feel obliged to say, I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat is sitting just right.
Oh, well, I wonder if you could adjust my hat for me. And please, be as ruthless as you like.
Thieves deserve to die, if you ask me. Especially gas thieves. I have no sympathy for the man at all.
Look, I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again now. I don't have time for this. I got my own problems. Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here, and lead his flock to a righteous verdict again today. Oh, Lord Van Zieks, what can you tell us? Prosecution's report, please, for the court. In relation to the theory expounded by the defense yesterday regarding the defendant's tea.
So he does have the results. Before the prosecution delivers the black news about the black tea belonging to the blackguard in the dock. Pray, allow me a moment to savor a liquid of a more sanguine hue. In fact, I'll defer to the good detective for the report. Here's to you, Inspector.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. As indicated by the defense, we found a bar of soap just outside the victim's window in the snow. It was indeed a frozen reddish liquid and a little depression on the top of it.
Yes, that's the tea. That's what Mr. Natsume brought with him that night.
Well, the brains of the yards analyzed it, and yes, you're right. It was tea. Wasn't a trace of Strike 9 or any other toxic substance in it.
No poison at all?
In other words, the tea that the defendant brought with him to the victim's room is innocent. It's in the clear. Revelation!
Do you think Van Zieks has just been sitting in that pose all along? He's just been holding his chalice out as this conversation's happening? As I suspected. This makes it quite clear. The defendant, Mr. Soses... My learned friend is jumping to conclusions again. A typical Nipponese reaction. What? Yes, it is true that no poison was found in a few drops of liquid recovered from the soap on the window ledge. But, what logic is that? Would you take a drop from the Thames and conclude the water in the ocean isn't salty? My word, water in the ocean is extremely salty, Counsel. Exactly. Unfit for drinking, just as the victim's tea was on the night in question. As the court has already heard. Bitter was the precise word from the lips of Mr. William Shamspeare, whom the prosecution now calls back to the stand.
Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's request.
Mr. Shamspeare.
Yes, sounds like we're going to have another confrontation with our theatrical friend.
Cliff, show Mr. Shamspeare to the stand.
Mr. William Shamspeare, the victim of this despicable crime. Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember? Forsooth, 'twas I, Shamspeare, did have a bellyful of the foul fluid given in mine innocence. Yes, but as was revealed in yesterday's proceedings, this is not as innocent as we had perhaps first been led to believe. By using bars of soap such as this, he's been stealing gas from the supply company, yes.
One may smile and be a villain. Forsooth, 'twas I, Shamspear, did have a roomful of the sweet fuel given.
That's right. Jurors, don't forget, this man is a rotten thief. Forgotten? Kept all that about ice coins on a tidy secret, didn't you? Opened up sooner.
Arrest him, I say. Arrest him at once, and let him feel the sting in my tail.
Wow, they're really leaning hard into the bee motif, aren't they?
Oh, indeed. By dint of vile and cowardly means have I plotted to further mine own ends, I confess. That was not pardon my sins. Of that I'm sure.
If you acknowledge your wrongdoing, what exactly are you doing here?
Cowards die many times before their deaths. And for a coward such as I, death be well deserved. But would it that still a greater crime passeth unpunished? For lo, the hairy-faced gentleman of farther east than Verona did contrive to poison me.
Objection!
But there was no poison in the tea found in your room. The police have attested to that. What the defense would assert as an inconsistency will quickly be cleared up by the witness's testimony. Is that not so, Mr. Shamspear?
Verily, my liege, I would most gladly speak.
Very well. The witness testify to explain this inconsistency. Tell the court why it is that a poison apparently entered your body though none was found in the tea.
Let me guess, he's gonna claim that the poison was added to it after he had already dumped out a piece of it into the soap.
The Japanese man did come to my chamber with tea brewed in a pot. 'Twas in my cup alone that the wicked miscreant secretly poured his wicked poison. Whilst feigning distraction in our debate, ne'er did a drop of his own drink pass his lips. When he departed by and by, I did use that tea that remained in his cup to make my coins of ice. Thus 'tis no surprise that poison be not found in the tea I did pour in the molds of soap.
The poison was slipped into the cup after the tea had been poured. The normal way for poison to be administered, in my experience.
Quite. Poison would be disastrous if the poisoner were to mix up the cups, for instance.
But no poison bottle was found at the scene. Because, quite simply, the Nipponese took the bottle back to his own room. The absence of a vessel containing the poison only becomes problematic when considering suicide. I knew that. By now, it should be perfectly clear. A bar or two of cheap soap is wholly insufficient to wash the deep stains of guilt from the accused hands.
Sirs, mesdames, 'tis true that I, Shamspear, be a common thief of gas. But, listen here, ladies and gentlemen. Wherefore would I lie? Verily, I have no cause. I have naught to lose. Well, I do declare.
For your testimony, witness. Counsel, proceed with the cross-examination.
Yes, my lord. The Japanese man did come to my chamber with tea brewed in a pot.
Hold it!
I understand that you are already acquainted with Mr. Natsume, is that correct? I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers. Do I know thee, or know thee not? Methinks 'tis all I can know, that thy destiny mingles with mine. You lost me at the first of thee. Zounds, sir. Thou must learn the English tongue afore thou turns thy hand to lawyering. I did, but I must have missed the archaic Elizabethan lecture. Or Elizabethan? Elizabethan? Yeah. Verily, and in truth, 'twas a fine-flavored brew. Though a drop of poison did barb its sweetness, as the thorn doth barb the sweet rose. That, dear friends, be the simple truth.
Listen to Mr. Shamspear. He seems in even better form than he was yesterday.
Either that, or I'm in worse form. That fated evening, after I did dine, at Grubb's Grubbery, a local alehouse of good report, naught did pass my lips but the tainted black tea. But behold, the poison was not in the tea at first. 'Twas in my cup alone the wicked miscreant secretly poured his wicked poison.
Hold it!
Are you saying that you saw the moment when the poison was added to your tea? To have witnessed the act, and then drank the tea, thou dost describe the actions of a fool.
Quite so, quite so.
But no one likes going thirsty, do they? Sooner would I die quenched than parched. Would I have the choice? Actually, on the night in question, the water main was frozen, I believe, wasn't it? Were it not for the tea, in sooth I would sooner have died frozen than quenched or parched. Right. No ice coins means no heating. The witness had more than one brush with death on the night in question, it would seem. Remind the court, Mr. Shamspear, as to whether the accused drank any of the tea which he brought with him. With the greatest of pleasure, my liege. Whilst feigning distraction in our debate, ne'er did a drop of his own drink pass his lips. The teacups prove that this is incorrect, right? The teacups prove that this is wrong because the teacups have, one has a ring on it and the other doesn't.
This is the teacup from which Mr. Natsume was drinking.
Yes, unlike the other one, the inside of the cup is completely clean.
I suppose he must have drunk the contents before the tea had a chance to leave a mark.
I always gulp it down too. Yep. I'm gonna press this first.
Hold it!
But the teacup Mr. Natsume drank from was found completely empty at the scene. And let's not forget the defendant's maxim, drink tea while it's hot. I did gulp from the poisoned cup that night, and in mine agony did I writhe uncontrolled. In fits of pain I did knock the fellow's cup, and its contents spilt his blood from a gaping wounds, methink. Though certainly, 'twas after I'd made the coins of ice from his tea. An upset cup was found on the table that the victim was slumped over. There's no contradiction here.
It's true there was no tea left in either cup that we found at the scene. But still, something about this statement is troubling me.
Yes, of course, I know what it is. It's Mr. Natsume's wise drink tea while it's hot maxim, isn't it?
No, I'm not sure that's it.
You witness. Reiterate for the court what it is that occupied you after your guest had left, and before you drink your tea.
When he departed by... Oh, wait, I'm just gonna send the teacups here.
Objection!
You claim that Mr. Natsume didn't drink a drop of tea on the night in question. But that's impossible. How? Chop logic? What is this, ye dark-clad fiend? The two teacups from the scene, one used by the victim and the other used by the defendant, have a clear difference between them. One that represents incontrovertible proof. Controvertible? What difference? Look at the inside of the cups. Just here, there's a clearly visible ring. Yes, a tea ring. Commonplace enough. Indeed, such stains occur all too readily when one leaves tea in a cup for a while. And yet, Mr. Natsume's cup has no such ring. Good lord, you're right. It's completely clean. And prithee, sir, what makest thou of it? Exactly what Mr. Natsume told the court yesterday. The Japanese saying he quoted. Drink tea while it's hot. That's right, yes. The jittery Mr. Natsume was true to his usual self that night, and drank his tea in no time. If, as you claim in your testimony, he didn't touch a drop of his tea, a ring would have developed on the inside of his cup as well, after the several hours the tea was left standing. But, in short, Mr. Shamspear, you clearly lied to the court. Get thee to a nunnery!
Objection!
As a rule, fill my hallowed chalice up to 7 times during any one trial. You might want to keep that information to yourself. Yet on occasion, tedium distracts me and I pour more times than I intended until the bottle is dry. Your drinking habits are fascinating, but irrelevant. On the contrary, they illustrate the fickleness of human memory. To William Shamspear. Yes, my liege. Though you previously stated that you made the coins of ice from the leftover tea in the accused cup, could it be that you were perhaps mistaken? Yeah. Could it be that yes, perhaps there was some tea remaining in the small teapot left at the scene? Fact that had vanished from your memory until now. Faith, my liege, thou art a magician. For verily, 'tis as though thou hast seen with thine own eyes that night. What? Forsooth, I was mistook. I did plan to use tea from the Japanese fellow's cup, but lo, when I looked, 'twas empty. And thus did I use dregs that festered in the teapot, as my liege did suggest.
Objection!
It's just like fucking Edgeworth. He's just like Turnabout Sisters Edgeworth, because Turnabout Sisters Edgeworth does this exact fucking thing, and it pisses me off in that case too. And you've just suddenly remembered now that you've made a mistake before? Are we supposed to believe that?
Objection!
People's memories are imperfect, my learned friend, which is why we rely on evidence instead. Yeah, exactly. Hey Marcus, how are you doing? But in any case, it makes no difference. The victim's most recent testimony tells us 2 things of note. Firstly, that the poison was put into the victim's teacup only. And secondly, that his spoiled cup was not the source of the insipid ice coins that have bewitched this court. The prosecution makes a fine summary of the facts. Furthermore, that testimony remains valid and in full support of the established facts. In other words, the inconsistency claimed by the defense simply does not exist. No! What does this mean then?
I do declare, it means there's no issue with the gas thief's testimony.
Apart from the bit about thieving gas, obviously.
My lords, ladies, and gentlemen of the jury, I do solemnly swear. After I did dine at Grubb's Grubbery Alehouse that night, naught did pass my lips, but the black tea given to me by the Japanese, whose back be stooped as low as death.
What did you dine, sir?
Why, I did partake of my favorites. A broth as would be called soup, and a leaf as would be called salad.
As insalubrious a menu as the establishment where it was served.
But you gods will give us some faults to make us men. Willingly would I suffer what punishment 'tis see fit to serve a wicked thief of gas, but I pray ye wise and noble fellows, ne'er forget the simple truth. That be one thing, and this be another. Jurors all, your humble servant Shamspeare doth entreat you, punish the Japanese fellow for his sins.
My lord. My lord. I may speak, my lord. Yes, Mr. Foreman. We may have been duped by that rotten defense lawyer.
By me? I do declare, you may be right.
We all know the waif there was making coins of ice to keep himself warm. Lawyer lad says he's stealing gas. He deserves the dose of poison, eh? Living this up the garden path, that's what he's been doing.
I really never said anything like that.
We just heard from the victim there, has opened our eyes again. We reached a decision this time, and we won't be swayed from it. Court acknowledges the position of the jury foreman. We'll duly hear the jury's findings.
What? No! You can't yet.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your decisions now.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty! Guilty!
You know, you'd think that you would build up a temperament for, like, Ace Attorney bullshit. But no, you don't. I love this series to death, but...
I hereby declare the jury to be in one accord.
Oh, happy day.
Van Zeeks is mentally prepping himself. He's just like, oh, that bitch. He's gonna do it. How is this happening? My lord, the defense asserts its right to carry out a summation examination.
Very well, the court upholds the defense's right.
Typical. My learned friend is unable to accept the obvious truth. Look who's talking.
This trial will therefore enter its second summation examination immediately. Jurors, the court calls upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime which he is charged.
Remember, bellboys never leave the hotel rooms empty-handed. That would just be absurd. Yeah. That was a thing that happened in Trials and, or not Trials and Tribulations. That's in Justice for All.
Man of logic, me. Having considered all the evidence, the defendant must logically be guilty.
I do agree that gas is far too expensive, I can quite understand why the man would want to avoid paying.
Stuff explodes, and it can poison you. It's absolutely lethal, gases.
Gas doesn't come for free. It costs a fortune to deliver it around the city and maintain the pipes.
Told the tea my wife serves up for me is a little sketchy at times. Nothing else passed the victim's lips that night. There's no other explanation, is there? I do feel that perhaps personal opinion about gas and its supply has influenced the decision somewhat. Never mind.
I think the biggest, like, unironically, I genuinely think that Great Ace Attorney 1 has the pinnacle of courtroom bullshit from the series, and that is solely because of the stupid blood test thing that I will not give up on. I hate that section of that case. Like, Yeah, say the grounds which the defendant is guilty. Every jury except for one says irrelevant bullshit, yeah. And, okay, but never mind. No, you really should mind.
The truth is, our counter-argument wasn't as unassailable as we'd hoped. And Mr. Shamspeare was poisoned, there can be no doubt of that.
And how are we supposed to turn this around?
I think we need to establish the method by which Mr. Shamspeare was actually poisoned. Our only hope is to demonstrate that to the court incontrovertibly.
But that's surely almost impossible at this stage.
If we don't manage it, though, Mr. Natsume will
be found guilty. Please, counsel, proceed with the summation examination.
I want to flip through the jury's findings. Here. Okay, I'm a man of logic, me, and having considered all the evidence, the defendant must logically be guilty. Okay, this one somewhat is an okay statement, but it also is basically just like, hey, I think that he's guilty because like, okay, that's a valid statement. Okay? This is an irrelevant statement. 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 And so is the... oh, okay, no. This one is not an irrelevant statement. This one is fine. So two of the 6 statements.
Out of logic, me, and having considered all the evidence, the defendant must logically be guilty.
Hold it!
All the evidence, you say? That's right. There's no room for doubt. It's all pointing to that Japanese man with the big mustache.
This is the first time we've had the chance to actually look around. This is the first time we've actually got this mechanic in this game.
This is the Englishman with the bigger mustache.
Which means we need to show the man some new evidence to make him change his mind.
Only we had that kind of evidence.
Don't worry, the summation examination has barely started, really. Perhaps there'll be a shift in the situation that shows an existing piece of evidence in a new light.
Let's hope so. To start with, though, I need to find some way out of this deadlock.
I do agree that gas is far too expensive. I can quite understand why the man would want to avoid paying.
Hold it!
This isn't the time or place to be discussing the price of gas, madam.
But really, think of the injustice. Air is a gas and air is free. Why should Altamont gas cost money? It makes my blood boil. I can feel myself becoming more ruthless than ever.
Isn't the time or place to be ruthless either.
If I might interject here.
Yes, madam?
It seems my fellow juror takes issue with the price of our company charges for gas. But it's precisely because of thieves like this man that the cost goes up. a beastly man. That unkempt mustache, those hunched shoulders, poisoning tea and stealing gas, utterly unforgivable.
No, no, no. Mr. Natsume isn't the one who's been stealing gas. I'll thank you not to go adding on more crimes.
Mr. Natsume hasn't been poisoning tea either. Well, anyway, I've quite made up my mind. It's as made up as the price of gas.
This stuff explodes and it can poison you. It's absolutely lethal, gas is.
Hold it!
Would we please talk about the poison rather than the gas, do you think, sir? Well, if you like, I mean, to be honest, I'd take poison over gas every time. Yeah, that's the biggest thing with the jury, is that so many of their statements are, he's guilty because of yes. He's guilty because I think he's guilty. Well, if you like, I mean, to be honest, I'd take poison over gas every time. You'd take poison? What I meant is, poison can only poison you. It doesn't explode, does it?
Goodness me, what are you talking about? Set him straight, please, lawyer man.
Well, it's certainly true that poison isn't prone to exploding. But I think you'll find poison also can't light or heat up a room. You're right. I hadn't considered that at all.
Young lawyer man,
Yes?
you have a good head on your shoulders. We could use someone like you as our company's legal representative.
Well, I wasn't expecting to pick up more business in the middle of a trial, that's for sure. Anyway, the point is, I haven't had the best experience with gas companies in the past.
Gas doesn't come for free. It costs a fortune to deliver it around the city and maintain the pipes.
Hold it!
I finally have nailed down her voice. Can we please refrain from all this talk of gas?
There's an all-out attack underway here, in case you hadn't noticed, against my company's gas. And I'm supposed to sit here and take it, am I? I don't think so.
Really buzzing now.
All I've heard about our wonderful fuel is explosions and poisonings. What about electricity, What about getting electrocuted? What about that? A little explosion here and there is nothing in comparison.
Explosion could hardly just be described as nothing, madam. Alas, the theft of your gas is deplorable.
My point exactly. But the gas thieves aren't even the worst of our enemies. We have far more devious reprobates to contend with on a daily basis, you know.
More devious? Who, madam?
Other gas companies, of course.
Other gas companies? Quite what I was expecting.
We generate gas and deliver it to our customers fair and square.
Indeed, nobody is questioning that, madam. Monks is an exemplary gas company.
But there are other, unscrupulous gas companies here in London that don't even have any gas at all.
What? If they don't have any gas, how do they go around selling it to people?
You wouldn't think it possible, would you? But they steal our gas, see, and sell that.
Steal your gas? How on earth is such a thing possible?
Gas companies like ours deliver gas to people's homes via a network of pipes. But these devious reprobates secretly disconnect our pipes and divert our gas into their own rotten pipes. They then make contract with a household supplied by those pipes and take money for the precious gas that's rightfully ours without us even knowing. They're diverting gas into their own pipes illegally. What a brazen form of theft. When we visit our customers' houses to collect the money from their meters, we always have to check whether or not one of these devious companies has been up to its tricks.
What is this face?
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, juror number 3? Oh golly, you mean me? I'm terribly sorry. I was just thinking to myself. Really did catch him off guard there. Thinking about what the lady next to you was saying, correct? Well, yes. I just got a little riled about it recently, you know? Or you see? Go on. An Altamont gas worker visited my house the other day to investigate the pipework. We need to ask for your cooperation while we carry out a secret check on your property, sir, the fellow said. So I let him in, and do you know what he did? I'm, afraid I have no idea. Please tell us. He proceeded to take one of my lights off the wall. Then he grabbed the exposed mouth of the pipe and started blowing into it. What do you think you're doing, young man? You're giving away company secrets there. Oh, please. Everyone knows. But it was very nearly the death of me, I can tell you. What do you mean? I'll explain if you don't mind. As I said before, these unscrupulous other gas companies connect their customers to our pipe network. Yes, but how does blowing into the pipes come into it? Obviously, there's gas in the pipes, and it's at a fairly low pressure. By blowing air through the pipe, you can make the pressure drop temporarily. And if you do that, any lights connected to the same pipe will flicker for a moment.
So are you telling me that Shamspear took the light off the wall to blow into it, to blow out Natsume's stove, to try to kill Natsume? That's what my running theory is.
And if you do that, any lights connected to the same pipe will flicker for a moment.
Ah, I see. In other words, if upon blowing into the pipe, the lights of an adjacent property that has no contact with your company flicker, know that these devious scoundrels have been meddling with the pipes.
Exactly, my lord. That's it in a nutshell. That's the reason why we have teams of workers going around neighborhoods to investigate which lights flicker.
Trouble is, the particular worker who came to my house didn't know the strength of his own breath. He blew down the pipe with all his might, and you can guess what happened, can't you? Well, if he blew hard, then... Wait, you mean... That's right. The lights didn't just flicker, they went out, along with the stove. Gas started pouring into the house. What a disaster.
The gas supply must have been interrupted briefly because the man blew too hard, so the flames went out.
Afraid I yelled at the fellow. You're trying to kill us all, I said. So by disconnecting a lamp and blowing into the exposed gas pipe, it's possible to extinguish lamps and stoves connected to the same network of pipes. And then when the gas starts flowing again, it just silently seeps into the room.
Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps...
Yes, this is almost certainly the clue we've been hoping for. Juror number 3, the defense requests that you amend your statement to include that information. Oh, well, if you like, I don't mind.
Well, I do. That's our company's secret method of identifying the rogues that...
Like I said, madame, it's widely known already.
Very well, juror number 3, you will amend your statement accordingly.
Yes, my lord. Although I'm not really sure what the point of all this is. Okay, interesting.
Gas doesn't come for free.
Oh wait, we've already,
Told the tea my wife serves me. Serves up for me is a little sketchy at times.
Hold it!
You mean it's poisoned?
That's right. It happened a tidy few times now. This is most troubling indeed. Always days like this one when I don't get any wages.
Get it at tea time, see? See her doing it, my wife. There's that devilish look on her face. She sips some white powder into my cup. And you drink it anyway? Brought up proper I was. Someone gives you a cuppa, you drink it. And what happened to you? What did it taste like? God awful, believe you me. Salty as hell. I love that we cut over to Van Zeeks. He's not allowed to talk during this, but I love that it cut over to Van Zeeks for just that 1 second.
Then I think perhaps what your wife put in your tea was salt.
Oh. So, you didn't care enough to poison me properly? Unbelievable. Let's move on, please. Nothing else past the victim's lips that night. There's no other explanation, is there? Wait. You don't think that they covered the pipe entrance with strike 9, and that's how he got poisoned? If that's the angle that they're going with, that's genius. Oh my god, that's so smart if that's what they're thinking.
Hold it!
Does that mean that if the victim could be shown to have ingested something else, you'd change your leaning? Sorry. What's that now? Oh, I was just saying, if the victim did actually eat or drink something else on the night... What's the matter with you? Sorry? I said, nothing else past the victim's lips that night. There's no other explanation, is there? Haven't you been listening to me at all? Well, there's an English expression about a pot and a kettle that's appropriate here.
Compared to the other jurors who don't even appear to have anything else to say about the case at all, it would seem that this elderly gentleman has been listening to the proceedings far more intently.
I suppose. The trouble is...
He has selective hearing.
Exactly. But still, this juror may well be the key to the breakthrough that we so desperately need. This is hopeless. There's no way for me to appeal to these people.
I do think that the only way we shall overcome this difficult situation is by exposing the way in which Mr. Shamspear was really poisoned. We have to prove that it happened some other way and not via Mr. Natsume's tea.
Yes, I know. The trouble is, I have absolutely no idea how it did happen.
Mr. Naruhodo, I wonder if perhaps there's something you might have forgotten.
Oh, like what?
It's important to watch everyone involved and pursue people if they react to something someone else says. If you'd like me to remind you of exactly what I mean,
Yep.
I'd be more than happy to, of course.
Once again, Soseki-san's fate is entirely in my hands here. Probably owe it to my client to hear any advice my assistant may be able to offer. Perhaps I ought to let Susato-san remind me again. No need. Actually, I don't think there's any need. It's vital that we start trying to change these jurors' minds as soon as possible.
Of course, I'm sure you're right. But if you decide you would like your memory refreshed, you need only ask, Mr. Naruhodo.
Okay, so...
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious. Whose statements do you refer, counsel? Juror number 6. Did you hear what juror number 3 just said? What? Yes, of course. I heard him mumbling about something or other. There is another explanation here, I believe. Something besides Mr. Natsume's tea did, in a manner of speaking, pass the victim's lips on the night in question. What? What explanation? I wonder, did the police check the mouth of the gas pipe feeding into the wall light at the scene to see if there were any traces of poison there? was curious to see what your floundering would result in this time. At the mouth of a gas pipe. Scotland Yard have enough to do without exploring such irrelevance.
What a piece of work. He's a man.
What are you trying to say, Mr. Shamspear?
What speakest thou? Prithee, is not strange and strange?
Or is it not strange and strange?
This is what I say to thee, sir.
Thought I'd been quite clear, but let me put it another way. The Strike 9 could have only been found, the Strike 9 could have been on the mouth of the gas pipe that feeds into the wall lamp in your room. And that is how the poison came to enter your body. Good lord! Tasted in the gas pipes? What are you saying?
Or is the gentleman suggesting that the poor man was so desperately hungry, he tried to fill his belly with gas? Perhaps. No actress would perform a kiss scene with him.
For shame, madam. Speaking thy fancy. I assure you, I'm not such a buffoon that I have to kiss pipes.
Objection!
This is no summation examination. This is a farce. The prosecution will not stand for any more of my learned Nipponese friend's conjecture. Shut up, Van Zeeks, you're not supposed to be able to talk. To begin with, the lamp in the victim's room is high on the wall. In order to have placed his lips to the pipe that feeds it, he would have to be a contortionist. These are empty assertions. There's no possible proof that the man did as you say.
Objection!
It is true I have no proof that Mr. Shamspear put his lips to the pipe. However, I can say with some certainty that on multiple occasions, Mr. Shamspear has been doing something in front of that lamp on his wall. And I have evidence to prove it. Alright, you've got our attention, lad. I'd like to see how you can be so sure of yourself. So would I. Let's see this evidence, then. Now that I've got the jury's ear, I need to make this opportunity count. This is the proof that time and time again, Mr. Shamspear stood in front of his gas lamp.
Take that!
What the? These are... Wait, what are they called? Yes, skin prints were found at the scene. Skin prints, counsel? Never heard of such things. Justice Ministry is currently assessing whether or not to permit fingerprints as evidence in court, however.
My lord, this is an exciting new forensic technique developed by the great detective Mr. Herlock Sholmes. It reveals all of the places that Mr. Shamspear touched in his room.
Seen anything like it? That's black magic, isn't it? Well, if anyone could invent something like this, it's that great Sholmes fellow, that's for sure.
I agree. This month's edition of Engineering Thumbs was quite fascinating.
Found skin prints in many places that you would expect. On the table, on the costumes. However, Mr. Shamspear also appears to have been touching some very unexpected places in his room. For example, here. On the hanging picture there. Indeed, multiple handprints appear to be visible.
Well, I wonder, could he have been appreciating the artwork, perhaps?
At first, my colleagues and I thought the same. However, imagine standing with your hands where those prints are. You would find yourself directly in front of... Ah!
I don't believe it. The gas lamp.
Though the reason why isn't immediately obvious, it's clear that Mr. Shamspear has regularly been standing with his hands to the wall, in front of that lamp. Right? What you been up to, you nut? I'd ask the court to recall juror number 4's earlier statement.
Me? What did I say?
You said that blowing into a gas pipe would make the lights in the entire building flicker. And now, if you'll recall juror number 3's statement. What? Me now? When the gas worker who visited his home blew with too much force into the pipe, it caused all the lights in the gas stove to go out, and gas to start leaking into the rooms. Obviously, that incident was an accident. However, the simple fact is, if Mr. Shamspear were to have blown hard into the gas pipe here in his room, he could have extinguished every other light and gas stove in the building as well, or at will.
Crikey.
Are you suggesting that this man purposely caused the gas to...
Objection!
Whilst I acknowledge that the prosecution is required to remain silent during a summation examination. I just got water on my glasses. Must toast my learned friend's utter disregard for the letter of the law.
The meaning of this, Lord Van Zeeks?
This curious photograph, or whatever it is, presented by the defense, the so-called skin prints. Clearly, that cannot be accepted as any form of usable evidence in this case.
But it's an exciting new forensic technique, developed by a great detective.
It's nothing. A mere toy developed by an amateur sleuth with too much time on his hands.
Certainly, even research of this nature by the esteemed Mr. Sholmes, not to be recognized by the court as formal evidence. But
Please, my lord, if I may.
Miss Susato?
It was not the defense's intention to submit the skin prints as formal evidence. We merely wish to present the results of the great detective's investigation of the scene, as a tool by which to explain a possibility to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
That is rich. That is some shit that Franziska pulls in the second game of Ace Attorney.
And, if the trial were to come to an end now, we should never learn the truth behind these mysterious handprints that everyone has now seen. I don't believe we can allow that to happen, and I'm sure the jurors would agree.
You're right. Whether those strange handprints are a significant clue or not, it's down to us to decide. Juror number 3.
Oh yes, I do declare the great detective's investigation results sound absolutely fascinating. And I want to hear what the shady actor fellow has to say about those shady handprints.
what's the matter with you two? That was foolhardy. Well, I did say it, didn't I? I don't like to break a promise. Oh, wait. You heard his lordship. Not fair dinkum.
Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. If just one more juror changes his or her mind, Mr. Natsume's trial will have to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Sato. But I couldn't have done it without you.
Oh no, it was you who identified the clue after all. This is very much your success.
Why, Mr. Shamspear? You seem to be losing your composure.
Just one more juror, Mr. Naruhodo. You can do it.
Well, continue, counsel.
Okay. I cannot describe how happy it makes me that Susato was able to play the "we're not submitting this as evidence, we just wanted to show it to the jury." Because in case 2 of
in case 2 of Justice for All, Franziska pulls the same shit, where she takes a photo of Maya channeling Mia in the detention center, and then like illegally takes that picture, and when she shows it to the judge and Mia's like, hey, that's not admissible as evidence, she's just like, I had no intention to submit this as evidence, I just wanted to show it to the judge. And it's so good.
Hold it!
Okay, so trying to find the spot that we, I had no idea. It's almost unbelievable.
It might seem unbelievable to you, but it's happening all the time right here in the capital. It's very difficult selling something you can't see, you know? Very difficult indeed.
That was slightly too high. Thank you, that'll do. Really, this is a very involved subject, but I feel we have digressed rather too much already. I concur. Though if my learned friend wishes to become an expert in gas, I believe the subject will suit him well. To your new career in nothingness. Thank you so much. Turn your attention to the next juror's assertion, please, counsel. Okay, so...
Hold it!
all the evidence, you say? That's right. No room for doubt. It's all pointing to that Japanese man with the big mustache. It's an English man with a bigger mustache. The defense just demonstrated another possible explanation for the events on the night in question. What do you make of that? What are your so-called skin prints?
It's an exciting new forensic investigation technique, developed by the great detective himself.
The numerous handprints on the wall are clearly out of the ordinary. And if Mr. Shamspirit had indeed put his mouth to the gas pipe on the night in question, it can't be denied that there's a possibility that's where the poison was. Well, yes, I won't deny it's playing on my mind. As the prosecution rightly says, we should pay no heed to unacceptable forms of evidence. Besides, yes? Even if a fellow has been up to some mischief with the gas pipe dozens of times before, doesn't mean he got up for the same shenanigans on the night in question, does it? No. To make your case better than that, I'm afraid I can't change my stance.
You do make a very valid point, sir.
What? That's true. Perhaps I was a little hasty. No, wait. Look, got your chance here, haven't you? It's time to prove your theory. You and your Japanese cohorts can, that is. Just leave our nationality out of this, please.
Mr. Naruhodo, if we can't substantiate our position, I'm afraid the jurors that changed their minds before may very well change them back.
What can I do? Is there any more proof I can give here? Can I show that Mr. Shamspeare really did blow down the gas pipe on the night in question? Why do we still have these? The whole thing about the man's broken pocket watch makes me think that this might be it, because a fall? But... Can I show that Mr. Shamspear really did blow the gas pipe, or blow on the gas pipe on the night in question? Can't prove it, I can present evidence, or I have a supporting testimony. No, in truth I don't have evidence to support my theory. However, there is witness testimony that substantiates it. What's that? Testimony? It's incredible. Whose testimony? Yes, it's all connected. Everything is linked. A person whose testimony revealed details about the gas in the Garrideb residence that night. Namely...
Take that!
Obviously, I'm talking about the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume himself. Defendant? At the very beginning of the proceedings here in court yesterday, Mr. Natsume said the following.
My lodgings. There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. Even on that fateful night it happened, when I returned from Mr. Shamspear's room. I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed, but before long, the stove went out, and somebody tried to kill me.
On the night in question, the gas in the defendant's room went out. So I asked the court, was that a mere coincidence or not?
But golly.
So that Shamspear fellow blew air into the gas pipe to make the man's stove go out on purpose? Hold your horses there. What do you do that for? Mr. Foreman.
What is it, man?
We cannot allow judgment to be passed while this doubt remains. It's true that I don't have conclusive evidence yet. However, you must surely agree that there's more to this case than meets the eye. Ugh. Fair enough. Like I said at the outset, man of logic first and foremost. That's 4 jurors leaning toward not guilty, my lord. We've overturned the decision. Therefore, the defense calls for the trial to continue. As the defense has rightfully indicated, summation examination is concluded with a majority of jurors altering their decisions. Jury members now called guilty, 4 now called not guilty. Therefore, the jury's opinion is conflicted. In accordance with the law of this land, I hereby order the continuation of this trial. Mr. William Shamspear.
My lord, how can thy humble Shamspear serve thee?
Say you in response to the various revelations made during the summation examination.
And so God amend me, I do solemnly swear. I recall aught of either, the lamp or the pipe.
Your handprints have made a tidy mess all over the wall there. You explain that, eh? I am done with this. The dignity of this great courtroom has been sullied enough already, juror number 5. Oh, me? As I went to some pains to point out already, a
print from the self-professed detective's toy has no place in a British court of law. Ugh. As such, whether or not this man did indeed stand before the gas lamp with his hands against the wall remains at this time unestablished conjecture. We would all do well to remember that.
Objection!
But the prosecution must concede that it would be extremely simple to verify. Just order the mouth of the gas pipe feeding into the lamp in Mr. Shamspeare's room to be examined. If there are traces of poison there...
Objection!
What appears to be extremely simple is my Nipponese friend's mind. You will recall that in order to check for the presence of poison in the tea, some remnants of tea were required. Yes? Therefore, it shouldn't be beyond your wit to imagine that even if poison were to have been spread on the pipe, it would have completely evaporated by now, making any analysis impossible. I didn't think of that. In any case, counsel, I fail to see what you could possibly have motivated, or what could have possibly motivated the man to do as you describe. Why on earth would this fellow have wanted to blow air into the gas pipe work where he lived? There's only one possibility that I can think of, and that is to use the leaking gas to commit murder. Order! Order! Counsel, precisely whose life do you propose this man was plotting to end? Answer couldn't be simpler. Now we've unraveled the mystery this far. Mr. Shamspeare wanted to end the life of Mr. Soseki Natsume.
Take that!
If a gas lamp were to go out, it would be noticed immediately, of course. But a gas stove, on the other hand, would be silently extinguished by the killer without anyone noticing. I run these parts myself, so I know what it's like. I can tell you, trying to sleep without the stove lit is pretty much suicide. Freeze to death in no time. Mr. Garadeb, the landlord, has a large fireplace in his part of the residence on the top floor. In other words, it wasn't the landlord, but a fellow lodger whose life Mr. Shamspeare was trying to end. Outrageous! I'm talking, of course, about the defendant. Mr. Natsume isn't the villain in this case. He's the victim this man was trying to murder. Good gracious.
Objection!
I was about to say, I'm waiting for the objection. The accused is actually the aggrieved. Interesting. However, the fundamental facts of the case remain unchanged. Namely, the accused is the aggressor here. What? How can you still claim that? Let us indulge your fantasies for a moment, and assume that there was indeed poison on the mouth of the gas pipe. Ace Attorney 101, if you want to get your defendant off of the case, just accuse someone else. Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You wouldn't have to accuse somebody else if the courts in Ace Attorney weren't astronomically fucked to the point of, you know, oh, I can prove that my defendant has a rock solid alibi, and they will still be pronounced guilty if I can't point the finger at someone else. Looking at you, the stolen turnabout. The question that then arises is who put it there? Who did put it there? The only logical conclusion is that the person responsible was aware of this man's trickery with the gas supply and his intent to kill. Yes, that would indeed seem logical. The assailant were unaware. How would he or she have known to lace the end of the gas pipe with poison? So now we must ask, how could anyone have known of Mr. Shamspear's murderous designs?
You mean to suggest...
Naturally. The sole possible answer to that question couldn't be more obvious. Only the man whose life was being threatened could possibly have known.
What?
In other words, the person who put the poison on the gas pipe in what was a clear retaliatory attack can only have been the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume.
Okay, but your theory here has a couple of holes in it, buddy, old pal. When the hell would Natsume have had the chance to put poison on a pipe? I really hope that they bring that up.
Whatever Mr. William Shamspear may or may not have contrived to do, he was nevertheless the victim of a potentially lethal poison attack. And the only person who possibly could have perpetrated that attack is the accused, Mr. Natsume. Defense counsel's theorizing has failed to avert suspicion from the accused. Far from it.
Just because you're being a racist bastard, buddy.
In fact, now that a clear motive for the poisoning has been successfully established, that suspicion is greater than ever. Would you not agree, my Nipponese friend?
Susato, you're smart. Make the objection for Ryunosuke. How did he manage to turn that around on me so rapidly?
Mr. Naruhodo, you must respond. Otherwise, the members of the jury may very well change their leanings against us again. And this may be our last chance to gain the advantage.
What advantage?
Well, it would seem that somebody put poison on the gas pipe in Mr. Shamspear's room. So we must name that person now and absolve Mr. Natsume of guilt.
I mean, name the true culprit?
I know it might sound impossible, but if we fail to do that, I have no doubt that Mr. Natsume's fate will be sealed once and for all.
As it happens, one possible culprit does come to mind. The evidence, the poison, it's all pointing to a particular person now. The prosecution calls for the jury to consider their leanings again. I trust you'll make the correct choice this time, Mr. Foreman. What? Oh, don't you worry.
Objection.
Exactly what?
There's one other person who I believe could have been involved in all this. True culprit of this crime.
True culprit? A term found in only second-rate novels, featuring third-rate great detectives, my Nipponese friend. You're a second-rate lawyer with a third-rate great detective.
How does the quote from Yu-Gi-Oh go? It's like, you're a third-rate duelist with a fourth-rate deck.
But why not? This farce has gone on for so long already. I see no reason to cut it short before its disappointing climax.
Thank you.
Tell us, my learned Nipponese friend, what is your latest theory? Who is the so-called true culprit of this crime?
A
Adrian B. Meterman. He's the only person who would have had the opportunity. It's just a theory, a game theory, yeah. Man, it's really weird that MapPad is like stepping down. You claim this person is the true culprit. Highly suspicious, I would say, yes. Perhaps my learned Nipponese friend, you should turn those wide eyes of suspicion on yourself. What? For it seems to me that your reckless reasoning makes you far more than you are, far more than anyone else you could name. A very dangerous man indeed. Yeah. Thought I was joking about B-Man, dude. Okay, here's the thing. There is a line of reasoning there because he is a gas employee, so he would have the opportunity to come in and fuck with the pipes. That is where my line of thinking was.
Mr. Naruhodo, please, you must concentrate.
I was trying to.
Then you must concentrate harder.
Harsh. Who's the so-called true culprit of this crime? Barrick Van Zeeks. I actually genuinely don't know who they're fishing for here.
Take that!
Nope, not safe. Shh. Tobias Gregson. Who, like... Am I supposed to be suspecting Duncan Ross, the dead guy? Objection, nope. Objection, nope, yep. Yeah. I genuinely don't know who they're fishing for currently, like...
Take that!
It's our juror number, whatever, number 4. Don't mind me rewinding, Van Zeeks. Yes, I would like a hint, please. Because I'd rather not just go through all of the all of the people we have. It was Iris Wilson. She didn't want to hurt Mr. Natsume with the pipe bomb, so she just poisoned the guy instead of sending Shamspear a pipe bomb. It's Susato Mikotoba. Like, genuinely, I'm stumped here.
Take that!
Olive green? Huh? Huh? What? Okay. Can I just say... that with our current amount of evidence, that doesn't make a lick of goddamn sense. Name of the person responsible for the poison that afflicted Mr. Shamspear is, I believe, Miss Olive Green. Miss Olive Green? Miss Olive Green. She's the only one who, in the entire case who actually had poison on hand? Yes, but she... When would... I still stand by that the meter man would have made significantly more sense, because he is the only person that we have been shown so far that would have the opportunity to put it there. You feel as though I've heard that name in the recent past, Council. I don't recall where. Miss Olive Green, the woman from 6 days ago. Victim in the recent case of stabbing on Briar Road. Incident for which Mr. Natsume was arrested, I hasten to add. Oh, of course, yes. Miss Green. Left comatose for some 3 days, I believe, but I hear she regained consciousness 2 days ago. And I hardly need to remind the court that Mr. Shamspear's poisoning took place 3 days ago. Yeah, like, this is the other part that doesn't line up for me. Given that the woman was lying comatose in a hospital bed at the time, she appears to have a rather fine alibi. True, on the night that the incident occurred, Miss Green was in the hospital, unconscious. So on the face of it, it would seem that she couldn't possibly be responsible. But still. My colleagues and I visited Miss Green in the hospital yesterday, and we found her to be in possession of a bottle of poison. Good gracious, she had a poison? And there's another fact that links Miss Green to this case as well. The defense requests that she be brought to the witness stand in order to explain the details to the court. Tell me, Mr. Shamspear. My lord, pray what be thy bidding? You acquainted with Miss Green? No, never heard of her.
Judging by the look on Mr. Shamspear's face, I think perhaps he genuinely doesn't know her. At least, not by name.
As the voice of Her Majesty's prosecution here, I adhere to my word. We'll see my learned Nipponese friend's farce through to its conclusion. I appreciate that. The prosecution requests a short recess in order to subpoena the witness and bring her here. Yes, Miss Olive Green. Indeed, my lord. 1 hour should be sufficient. That is a long-ass recess. Very well, I grant the request. I Gant. Damon Gant. Now that's a fellow. Excellent, I hope. Defense has made a most extraordinary accusation, I must say. At the present time, I feel the prosecution's argument remains largely uncontested. Accordingly, I'm afraid the defendant and his culpability remain the sole subject of this court's attention. Thank you, counsels. We reconvene in 1 hour. Court is adjourned. Sholmes really needs to go and get his, like, inventions approved by, like, the British Court of Law. Technically speaking, this is the first time that this happened, but it's the second time that we see of it happening. This is going to be where I end for tonight. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Exclamation point Discord if you want to join the Discord, exclamation point socials for
that stuff, VOD's channel, all that. Otherwise, give me just a moment and we'll find someone to raid. I like that emote is called Wawa Dance. Nautilus. Okay. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. I should hopefully be back with more of this tomorrow, as long as my voice is doing all right and I'm feeling up to it. But yeah, other than that, I guess, have a good one and take care.